if I'm getting a new job, when's the best time to retire? Hey guys, I am Chuck the bureaucrat, and you guys keep pushing me to grapple with retirement decisions that frankly I find eye-opening. You see, a couple weeks ago, I did a pair of videos on when is the optimal time to retire. I did one for officers and I did one for NCOs. And when I did these, I focused on total lifetime pension. I ignored any money you would make in civilian jobs after transition. And not a big surprise, somebody said, well, what about the opportunity costs of not taking that civilian job? And you know me, that's the kind of thing I love to dig into. So hit the like button so this can spread to more people, because the answer is fascinating. That is, it doesn't really seem to affect the timing of your military transition. I know, it seemed weird to me too, but let's set this up with two cases. One where you retire at 20 years of service, and another where you retire at 30 years of service. For both cases, you're going to be receiving military pay up until you retire, so let's represent that with green. And let's assume that after you retire, you have a civilian job that provides you an income stream, and we'll represent that in gray. Now, for this example, we're going to assume that you get exactly the same amount of money in your civilian job as you do in your military job. And we'll assume that your civilian job's pay is adjusted for inflation. After you retire from the military, you get your pension on top of your civilian pay. We'll put that in gold. If you retire at 20 years, you're going to get 50% of your high 3 base pay as your pension. And if you retire at 30 years, you'll get 75%. So those black and gold stripes represent that additional pension you get for serving longer. Now, in this situation, any military pay that we earn up to 20 years, that's going to be the same in both cases, so we can drop it out. And any civilian pay we earn after 30 years, that's going to be the same, so we drop that out. And then, when we compare the military and the civilian pay in that space between 20 and 30 years, the only thing that matters is the difference between them. And so we're right back where we were in the previous videos, just looking at total lifetime pension. Okay, so that's kind of boring. What if we get a civilian job that pays more than our military job? Let's say 10% more. Again, the military pay before 20 years, that drops out. The civilian pay after 30 years, that drops out. And the only thing that matters is that thin sliver of difference between the military and civilian pay. Now, on one hand, that's a lot of money. 10% more over 10 years, that's like earning an entire year's worth more of money. But you give up the increase in your pension from 50% to 75%, a 25% difference. So in this situation, if you retire at 30 years, you are behind the version of you that retired at 20 years by about 1 year's pay. But that additional pension lets you catch up in just 4 years, and it has you blowing past the 20-year retirement. So here we are again. Even with a better paying civilian job, most of your timing decision is driven by your total lifetime pension. And as we saw in the previous videos, there's not such a big difference that it really should be your primary decision criteria. In fact, for a civilian job to be so good that it would influence the timing of your retirement decision, it would have to pay you 40 or 50% more than your military pay. And it would have to do that without accounting for any of your pension or any disability payments. Look, I'll be honest. This outcome was not what I intuitively expected. And I suppose there's a bunch of you who feel the same way. Because if you're going to work a civilian job, that's just tons and tons of lifetime earnings that you're going to accumulate. And you're right. But that's the decision to have a post-military civilian job or not. It's not the decision when to retire. All things being equal, timing doesn't matter that much. And if timing does matter, it's going to matter because timing determines whether or not you get that high-paying post-military civilian job. Now listen, I always say one ORSA is always wrong, especially when it's old sloppy Joe here. So if you take a look at this analysis and you think I'm off base, put a comment in the comment section explaining why. Because the things that people are pointing out are illuminating dozens of different aspects of how we should really think about this process. Until then, do a good job, take care of each other, and I'll see you later.